Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, a portal picture almost complete and lessons in victory preferable to lessons in a beating.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world. Thanks as always for making us your first listen. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. College football playoff upon us. FanDuel, the best place to get into the action all playoff long. So visit FanDuel.com to get your college football playoff profit boosts every game day. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again, kicking the door open on a brand new week. We will spend some time upcoming looking to the week ahead for Grant McCasland and the Red Raiders, and also talk about what we saw most recently, which at the end of the day was a road win, but sounded like, according to the head coach following the game, there were some coachable, teachable moments, some lessons to take away from that win as well. We'll get to that and what's up ahead, basically taking it out on the state of Utah all the way around, we hope, this week back in Lubbock. Of course, we've got to get to the latest portal dust settling as well. Settling may be an operative word here. I know we've spent a lot of days recently, Chris, focused in on a marquee name who eventually, you probably have learned by now, does not decide to become a Red Raider. So I want to talk about what's next, which we've already done a little bit going back to some recent episodes. Also within the OT portion of the Matador Mob mailbag on Friday, we talked about either alternatives, if you want to view it that way, or just next steps on the other side of that decision being made. And I've also got a question, which, trust me, I feel a little naive even asking this because I feel like there's nothing ever complete in portal land. But I also have a question as to how, I guess, near we are to a completed portal picture or class, if at all. So where do we begin as we sit here, Chris, on the other side of, like I said, not only a big name decision being made, but now some plans still in motion to get maybe close to rounding this thing out?
Yeah, things changed quite a bit over the weekend in a variety of ways. I thought you were close to adding, and I say I thought you were because he told us he had committed to Texas Tech, but Emmanuel Poku, the East Carolina offensive lineman, he ended up changing his mind and going to South Carolina. Apparently, we found out on social media like everybody else did. CJ Wesley, I think, was pretty close to the same. I think he's going to Clemson. So it just, the portal giveth, the portal taketh, and in some cases, there's different things going, but everybody's playing this game, and it's a slippery slope out there. And you obviously miss on a wide receiver target, and I think that over the weekend it was like, I guess, starting midday Friday, you kind of were starting to hear some rumblings about Texas Tech being in on the Singleton kid, who's also an Auburn receiver. And, I thought, and what was weird is he's more of a slot. And I'm like, I didn't know if that would necessarily fit as well, but I think you're trying to acquire talent, and then you let it sort itself out. But, since then he's decided to ink with Florida, but that was maybe your first indication that Cam Coleman was maybe leaning to Texas, and whether long shot, whether realistic, doesn't really matter. Whether A&M was really in it, again, it doesn't matter. He signed with Texas for a whole bunch of money. His agent is right there in Austin, Texas, who is also a Texas graduate, and that's where he ends up. So now we'll try to see where you go, because there's not another Singleton or Coleman out there. I think you still have a line in the water for your safety target at last check, and that's going to be a Texas Tech or Oregon scenario, it appears. But again, and we don't know what else presents itself over the next several days. How much more movement? There's kind of an unknown there. A lot of this is getting sorted out, but you don't know how much entry is still to come on your roster or others across the country, because again, this window is still open until the 16th. I do think that a lot of the movement has slowed down just because I think classes are quickly approaching for a lot of places, and you're trying to get to where you want to go and where you want to be sooner than later. A lot of money has been spent. Now, Texas Tech obviously saves a bunch of money that they had earmarked, and they can either, I guess, technically save that cap room or, spend it on something else. I mean, whatever. So we'll kind of see what direction it goes. But you still need. I think there's still potential movement. I mean, you definitely need to wrap up your quarterback situation, and that kind of points to Kirk Francis, the former Tulsa quarterback. You added a kicker over the weekend. That doesn't, he's more of a depth piece. I think you still need a punter, but I still receiver, offensive line, defensive end. I think if the right piece emerged, I think you would hunt. Yeah. But you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know. You kind of try to pin yourself down on feeling like you have a good handle on it, and then things pivot and change so much. And other people are out there spending lots of money too. I know that the rumor is that only Texas Tech spends a lot of money, but let's not talk about anybody else, because some of the bags of money being thrown around right now, hopefully that all gets reported like Texas Tech's was, because he didn't come here for the money. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Whoever insert player, insert school. That's just the way this game gets played. But yeah, you in some ways you maybe feel like you're closer to the end. And keep in mind, you've added, since we last talked, you added Jet Carpenter. So that gets your number up. You're going to add a quarterback. And then I think that you're still, Calvin, there's thousands of players still in the portal, thousands. So we'll just kind of see what presents itself, I guess, in the coming days.
And to be fair, it's not always about the cash. Sometimes there's like a car involved or some other type of benefit. Ricky Rowe and his tractor. You never quite know what will fall under that umbrella.
Hoosiers reference. I love it. That's well done.
A man that's putting it to good use, giving back to the farm, not just looking for a Lambo.
It's like a tractor with a paper sack full of money on the driver's seat. I mean,
laying a foundation for the future. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Leon Boudreaux.
Okay, but it doesn't sound crazy to wonder if maybe we're just a few pieces away from sort of some foggy conclusion, and we're not still saying like we're only to the halfway point of putting this thing together. I know it's all unpredictable, but is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and here's what's interesting is that you may have more spots than you have desired targets. Like I think as we talked last week, it's like, man, you got room for this, room for this, room for this. Well, as they've kind of gone elsewhere, it's like, well, maybe we don't like what else is out there compared to what we have internally, or so maybe you don't fill them necessarily. I don't know. I just don't know how to view that per se, but I do think there's room there if you choose to use it, and cap room and however you want to phrase all that stuff, should you choose to use it, or you can save it and see what becomes available, if anything, in the coming days. It is a dead period starting today through Wednesday, so there can be no contact. And I guess if we see some more folks rolling in this weekend on visits and whatnot, then it's pretty clear that they're not quite done. But they may, yeah. So I don't want to ramble there, but I think that's a good way to phrase it, is that maybe it looked like many more additions and now not as many, just because you thought you had some guys. I don't think you ever thought you had Cam Coleman, but I think you felt like pretty good about Poku and Wesley, and but that also speaks to how hard it is too when you're trying to bring in somebody to compete or for depth, and other folks are saying, "Oh no, we'll offer more. We need a starter," and so it becomes a bit more difficult when you're trying to get some of those types of pieces too.
So I'm hearing still, I guess, in my own mind, some urgency behind, say, offensive line help or maybe pass catcher help. And I want to get more in full into this with you on some episodes upcoming this week, Chris. But and I also am telling myself, don't be a prisoner of, some recency bias and what you saw just in Miami. But I'm trying to gauge, how urgent was it, I guess, with those spots, given what we've seen play out so far. And that's some movement. The offensive line conversation is still very much alive among the Matador Mob. I can report that from the weekend if anybody's curious out there and curiosity about just efforts underway. So, again, I know it's very unpredictable, but just some things to weigh as we get into this week. I guess some urgency or the need, because it sounds like to me you're talking about we're not sacrificing fit just to fill a spot that we had. If there's not a target we like, then we're keeping the powder dry.
Yeah, I think that's a great. Yeah, yes. I think that every player is a case by case basis, and I think that in some cases it's like, man, we feel pretty good about what we've got, but this is a clear upgrade, but you could spin the wheel on a variety of different positions there. But I think if there was a clear upgrade out there, I think they were trying to acquire it. And they're not alone there, but I do think that, and once this settles and once we get to the end, and maybe we're closer there than we would have realized as we're kind of talking about, we can really look at what you've got now. And because you get caught up in the latest and you forget about what either you had here or forget about what you've added and all those things. And there'll come a time for that. But
it happens every Christmas morning. That first gift, it kind of gets maybe lost in the wake of gift number 3 or whatever it may be that electrifies. You know how it works.
Yeah.
You got to review at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
All right. We'll continue the assessment, obviously, here on Locked On Texas Tech with you. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. But Chris, let's talk Big 12 basketball, because we got to discuss what went down in Boulder. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and football is in full force, and FanDuel's keeping you stocked with action every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered. Quick, easy, and secure every time. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's episode brought to you by Open Door Financial. And if you're a Red Raider balancing family and career, you've probably thought about your financial future, retirement, getting out of debt, leaving a legacy for your kids. But here's the thing. Most financial advisors just trying to sell you something, hit a quota, or they only work with clients who have huge investment minimums, and that's not how it should be done. That's where Open Door Financial Advisors comes in, doing things differently. They were founded by a 2007 Texas Tech graduate right here in Lubbock, and they've spent over 15 years serving Red Raider families across the nation with one simple mission: helping you gain financial freedom and peace of mind, no matter where you're starting from. And Chris, you've got a long relationship with Open Door Financial Advisors, and that's the thing they really love doing most, being Red Raiders that help out Red Raiders.
Yeah, Derek Finley, man, he is one of us. He is a Texas Tech guy that really wants to help Texas Tech people, and it doesn't matter where you live either, because I think he's got clients from all over. But he is based in Lubbock, and it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to get out of debt, or you're trying to how do I get wealthy and secure my future by saving, he can handle anything in between, all of it. But yeah, check him out. But Derek's good people, and he's a Red Raider. He's been on this journey for many years as it relates to Texas Tech. So
he knows what you're going through.
Yes.
They work on a subscription-based fee-only model, which means they're never earning commissions on anything they're selling you. So there's no hidden agendas, no investment minimums, just straightforward advice. So whether, like Chris said, it's organizing investments, crushing debt, or building a legacy that goes beyond just money, They're ready to help families of all needs and resources, all while living by West Texas values, truth and grit. So if you're ready to work toward your big horizon, visit Open Door FA. That's opendoorfa.com to connect with Open Door Financial Advisors. Honest guidance for Red Raider families who want to take care of what matters most. Let's talk Big 12 basketball, because we got to discuss what went down in Boulder. Was expecting a challenge and certainly a competitive game. Vegas saw it that way going into it. And then, man, you want to talk electricity. There was that in the building and then some down the stretch as the Buffaloes had a chance to pull it off. Texas Tech said, no, no, no. Interesting, but some bend, not break going on. And I'm glad to see that as far as the dub. You said to me prior to our conversation today, it's best to get a lesson from a win as opposed to the alternative. But it sounded like there was some of that, at least as Grant McCaslin saw it. You were there in person and up close and got to visit with Coach McCaslin after it all concluded. So what was the take?
Yeah, well, and first of all, a lot of Red Raiders in the building. It was great to see that. I think we had several mob members that came up and said hello to me. It's just crazy how many. I don't know if these were Denver residents or I think I talked to my man, former Texas Tech pitcher Randy Gaddis, who lives in Fort Collins. But yeah, a lot of Texas Tech fans in the stands, and it's just crazy how many people. Hey man, listen to or watch the deal every day. Like, man, we appreciate it. So
we're big in Colorado. I told you, often the second-ranked state for Locked On Texas Tech consumption.
And you're not making that up. You're big. Yeah, that's. I was like, really? And you're like, yes. So Colorado's an awesome state, man. We go up there often. I know you do too.
Yes.
Yeah, this was. Life on the road, man. Life on the road. I thought this game would be sneaky, I think was the word I used to you the other day when we were kind of talking about it. Tad Boyle, their teams are historically very good at home, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. It used to be because you got a lot of Pac-12 after dark type, things going on. Yeah. And I think when you think about Colorado, there's probably a lot of these schools that roll in there and be like, this ain't no big deal. The guy's a damn good coach. And I think you get got more often than not. So they were 2-0 in the Big 12, trying to get to 3-0. You're going to see these guys in a couple of weeks. They're one of the youngest teams in the country. And so I think you saw the best of both there from them, in that they started off hot, and then you kind of took the baton and just ran and started lapping them, going, okay. And then I guess you got tired a little bit, and they're like, okay, you can catch up a little bit. But they are very talented. They put a lot of pressure on the rim. You dealt with the biggest problem for Texas Tech in this game, and I think the majority of the reason why you kind of were disjointed in the second half was all the foul trouble. I mean, you were, and this is why it's good to be at home, because Colorado got the benefit of a pretty good whistle, and you look up and you've got 4 starters with 4 personal fouls with, 6-7 minutes left to go in the game. So you've got guys coming in and out, and you got guys that aren't wanting to be quite as aggressive because they don't want to hear the whistle blow for fear that one time Isaiah Johnson, Jalen Petty doesn't have necessarily his arms out, like they were throwing it out of bounds, and Isaiah Johnson kind of like almost grabs his arms and is like, hey, he's holding me. And it was just for a freshman anyway, it was a pretty veteran move. And he's like, dude, he just grabbed me and held me, and you're calling on me. But that's just that's what happens in opposing venues at times. But he was the young man that was their leading scorer, comes off the bench, not the biggest kid, but he was 13 of 13 from the free throw line. That was the bit of the story too. So you battle foul trouble, you get a bit disjointed, and then you're 4 of 10 from the free throw line. And I think they were, 19 of 22. So that's partly why you made this game much more difficult than you needed to. The other problem is,
First, today's episode brought to you by Wayfair, and the holidays always show up faster than we expect. And if you're still putting together gifts or getting your home ready for guests, Wayfair has got you covered. Whether you need a quick room refresher, new bedding, or those final seasonal touches, Wayfair makes it easy to get what you need fast. Wayfair truly is your one-stop shop for everything home, with decor, furniture, kitchen essentials, and gifts for every style and every budget, all delivered quickly and easily. Their selection is massive, making it easy to find everything in one place. And it's perfect for gifting too, with guides, tons of options, and something for everyone and any budget. And of course, no massive delivery fees, no stress, just the best way to get your home holiday ready without running around all over town. So get last minute hosting essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's wayfair.com, wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
You know, Christian Anderson was 1 of 3 from the stripe. As good as he is at everything, there's a time or two where he'll miss a free throw. One of those misses was the front end of a 1-and-1, and as we saw, everything was a bit close. So, but hey, man, Grant, that's exactly what Grant said to me, though. He goes, we have struggled to close out games on the road, and we haven't been in those environments a ton. At Illinois, got really close, but couldn't quite get it done. At Houston, really close, couldn't quite get it done. Now, granted, that's a top 15 team nationally, and that's also a national title contender, those two previous games. Colorado's a bit different. You ended up surviving this one, and maybe you learned from it. I thought the defensive intensity at times was really good. I thought the energy from some of your role player types was really good. I thought Tyree Bryan in his limited minutes, Donnie Atwell, we need to spend more time talking about him this week, was huge for you.
Love the defensive finish. I got to be honest.
Yes.
I like to see that aspect, and I loved everything else, but thought it was interesting. He was on the ball, right? I think final possession.
I believe you're right. Yeah. Donnie Atwell is the epitome of the 3-and-D player. It's like he's given you both ends of that definition of or description of why that description was put in place to describe players several years ago. But boy, I mean, and both of it just equally important, especially in this one. But his ability to hit timely shots and that pick and roll, I mean, nobody's benefited more from it than Mr. Atwell, that pick and roll with Christian and JT, because pick your poison. Like you want to blitz it, you want to double team on the roll, you want to do this or that, or you want to double team JT in the post. I mean, he's gonna kick it out, and if Atwell's got any room at all, bang bang.
Yeah, I was thinking, clip those, send them to all your favorite shooters, prospects in the nation. Be like, hey, you like this? This is what we do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That was working well.
And it should have made you, we talked about this on the broadcast on Saturday too, but you look around the league and, Houston just went into Waco and destroyed the Bears. I think Oklahoma State hung with Iowa State in Ames for a period of time, and that got away from at the very end. But there's some things that you can start to look around and start to feel a little bit better about where you're at right now. And it points to you just had, these back-to-back road games, and now you've got 3 of your next 4 at home. And just to be blunt, the next 2 games on Saturdays at home are going to be the 2 biggest home games you'll have this season. They just happen to be back-to-back, with BYU coming up this Saturday and Houston the following Saturday. This little stretch here will largely tell the tale whether you are just going to be a tournament team or whether you're a legit contender for the Big 12 championship, regular season title, if you can hang in that race or not, because it must come with holding serve at home. And you're going to get a team that right now, as we're talking, is 15-1, and BYU, their only loss was at second ranked at the time, Alabama, and then Houston, which their only loss was a neutral site game against Tennessee, and we've just seen those Cougs. So, you're on Cougar watch for the next 2 Saturdays, but you got the Utes coming in first. But yeah, this little stretch right here will kind of dictate whether you can, be in this race, or because keep in mind, you don't have as many games. It's 2 fewer, so there's a bit more importance on some of these because there's just not as many opportunities to get it back if you don't take advantage.
Yeah, and the Cougar Watch is regarding 2 hoops teams. For anybody who's just catching up, happily married men, both of the boxes on your screen. Hey, some size back on the floor too?
Yeah. Well,
work itself in.
It's a process. Mariel was back. It wasn't great. I think Elijah Malone kind of took advantage of Mariel's inexperience a couple times, got a couple of buckets. It frustrated Grant McCaslin mightily. But it did allow you to maneuver your way through the foul trouble a bit better or differently than you would have. But, it was just nice that because at some point, I guess it was in the first half, you were able to sit down, I think, Atwell and Toppin for 2 or 3 minutes while Horner and Mariel were out there on the floor. And you look up and it's not near the same, but it's like just nice to be able to get them a blow a little bit. And I think you'll see more there. And again, you got to begin the process of working somebody back into the rotation. And this is a very inexperienced player. Mariel had not played since the game at Purdue in the Bahamas. That's how long. And keep in mind, folks, he's a true freshman, so you're gonna deal with some. What is he thinking? What is he doing? But he's young. He had braces on both knees, but it just was nice to at least have some buttons to push for the head coach, and that you didn't just have to go super small. But dealing with foul trouble like that when you got 4 starters with 4 personals, that's a bit dicey. That is a bit dicey, but he's
kind of an unknown player to me, to be honest. I don't even know what to expect. Like when he gets to feeling good, and we have a run with him.
So, Mariel?
Yeah, just because he's so little.
Yeah, fair.
And the foul trouble thing, we're unfortunately sort of getting practiced in this. I guess we've been in a few of these situations.
Yeah, and I think some of it was definitely warranted. I think that there was a couple of plays where it's like, JT he's got like his 3rd foul and he jumps out on a screen a long ways from the basket and he just can't help himself and he kind of gets too aggressive. You just got to be smarter than that. It's just not worth it at the time. There was a couple of calls by Watts trying to defend the post where they say, you got 2 hands in the back and this and that. I just can't roll my eyes in the back of my head enough on some of this stuff with what is allowed to go on. And, like I said, Jalen Petty kind of got squeezed. There was probably, like, I will say this too, to the contrary, like that bomb that Christian Anderson hit right before the half, okay, where he just – You go down and you shoot it, you miss it, and you're like, dadgummit. Well, then you get a steal, and Christian gets it and then bangs in a 30-footer to go in the locker room to put you back up 16. I thought Tyree Bryan probably got away with knocking that ball loose with a shoulder check, and that was uncalled. So it's just the way it goes. It's an impossible game to officiate, very difficult. And how about the it was one of the longest reviews I'd ever had, speaking of the officials. Was it it was the shot from Petty that he got off at the end of the shot clock? And I don't know what they showed on TV, Cowan, but they looked at it. They talked. These officials are kind of halfway getting irritated with each other. It's like, what are we going to, and then they come out and say inconclusive video evidence, something to that effect does. So they stuck with the call, but had you not gotten the benefit of the bucket being called in, and as we know, it's fairly important when you look at the final score. Fairly important.
Do you still not know what they showed on TV?
No, I don't.
It looked like him not getting the shot off is what they showed on TV.
Okay.
It looked like the light was going off the ball in his hand. So we were all – well, I don't know. It was my household. We were a little surprised.
Okay, yeah,
But it was a fun moment in officiating. I love it when it goes that way.
Yeah, and it doesn't always go your way. So yeah, we
were
did
fairly
not,
close, right? I mean, were you? They were irritated with one another.
We thought it had gone off, or like he had gotten it off with like 0.2, 0.3. I mean, it happened right in front of us.
It was close,
but we never got a good video review. And
well, I mean, to the officials reviewing there, I thought I was getting a look at you on my screen. As a matter of fact, the big handsome making a national television appearance. But were you hearing them going back and forth, getting annoyed, or
a little bit like, hey, show us this, you know? And it was, I gathered is like, well, we don't have that to show you.
I got you.
And then I think you have two officials go over to the third and say, hey, you come over here and look at this. And he's like, okay, what? I mean, like, is it not clear? And so they just wanted to.
I think they checked the playoff score at one point too, because there was a lot going on. They're just flipping around there for a little bit, but
yeah, that's right.
I think they nailed it. That was good refereeing, boys. Ready?
Yeah,
ready.
There you go.
All right.
They're all doing the best they can, but not having. That's what he said to the crowd. Inconclusive angle or whatever, and so yeah. I mean, hey man, whatever. But you were, after being up 24. Which I had said on the broadcast, that is extremely rare on the road. I don't care who you're playing or what time of the year in this league, being up 24 on the road, you know, heavy steps. And then you look up and they're shooting the ball to win it. I think it was a 3-point attempt and it hits the rim and you go, whew. You know,
I thought great pressure without fouling, like just almost as good as you could ask for from Atwell right then, but little on edge, you know, puckered up a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it. If that shot falls, you've had not a great start to the conference play here with, you know, being at 1-2, and then you look up and go, because again, 18 games versus 20, it's just different. And these are swing games, you know, like this is, but I have a feeling that Colorado win on the road will look much better as we go here, because I think they're going to win some games, but you'll see those guys back in Lubbock here in 2 or 3 weeks.
And we were walking the wire a little bit.
Yeah.
I made a little scared, but I held my own. We're all right.
Yeah.
All it shows is as a W at the end of the day.
Yep, that's right. And you learn from all these lessons in a win. That's what Grant's point was. He's like, man, much rather have these guys learning in a situation like this than we tried to from Houston and from the Illinois losses.
All right, Chris, appreciate the time today to catch up on what's going down with the hardwood. We got a big week to keep up to date with, of course, as far as portal wins, constantly changing. So make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts, and we'll be getting ready for a home stretch here for hoops as well. We're taking it out on the state of Utah. All of you fit in the description of the next potential victim. So hope you'll join us for that. Appreciate the time, Chris. Looking forward to it all, and we'll see you then.
Sounds good. We'll keep portaling as the news comes in. We'll keep hooping as the news comes in. And, here we go. But shout out to all the folks up in the state of Colorado that are Red Raiders, man. So good to see everybody.
Yeah, and always looking for a warm place to stay in the CO. So thank you, friends. Can't wait to see you very, very soon. All right, thank you also to the everydayers anywhere you may be for always being out there in the Matador Mob. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text and straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.